Ernie Johnson, Clark Kellogg, the coach Bruce Pearl is here, Kenny the Jet Smith, and Charles Barkley. Nobody saw this coming.
Well, Ernie, in Arizona, we said bear down. We just saw a beat down. That was impressive. Nobody saw this coming, but, man, this team they're impressive. I mean, Arizona had to raise their level. This is the level Michigan's played at every game. And Arizona did not meet the challenge. I thought they panicked in the first half when Godot came out. And give my man Clark his flowers. He's been talking about Mara. He says, he's the cheat code. Tell you what, man, that guy got hands like Jerry Rice. He catches everything. He is, and Clark, you've been saying it. He says, he's the cheat code to Michigan. Everybody talk about those other guys, but he's the one guy who makes everything go. That was impressive. I'm proud of the season Arizona had, but, man, that was a beat down, plain and simple.
Yeah, wire to wire, they dominated the game. Cadeau was just as significant, I think, at the beginning, maybe even more so than Adai Mara. But the two of them really were the catalyst. And Cadeau's aggressiveness, and Kenny, you talked about it at halftime, his aggressiveness looking for his shot, getting into the paint, creating pressure on the opposing perimeter, really created the tone of the game.
Yeah.
And then it was just pretty much a mismatch after that.
Yeah.
Celebration continuing for Michigan. Still work to be done. How did this happen?
Well, I think once you get down also in an environment like this, and I thought Arizona got deflated. When, so maybe the score ran up, but Michigan was just, in terms of aggressiveness on the perimeter, they had to guard 5 people, and the ability to guard 5 made open avenues for everyone. And then what it really does, because they were also defending on the other end, Ernie. So now, even though Cadeau wasn't scoring, neither was Arizona. But now you have to guard him, and then all of a sudden we could drop it into Mara, and then he could go to work. So to me, it was a combination of both, like we've been saying, and the spreading of the wealth. Because Yaxel, who's been their best player, first-team All-American guy, player of the year caliber, didn't even really have to contribute much. He just have to be timely in those moments.
And that's the thing. He starts the game with a couple of quick fouls in the first minute and a half. Then he gets an ankle and a knee, and his status is in question. He comes back, hits a couple of threes early, and then he just ran away from him.
Everybody watching the game is going to ask why. I mean, how did this happen? One team came here to guard, and the other team just didn't or couldn't. I mean, Michigan guarded Arizona. They took their guards away from everything they wanted to do. You couldn't score inside the paint because they had too much size. But the biggest thing I was disappointed was Elliot Cadeau could get downhill anytime he wanted. Anytime he wanted to go by. Arizona's guards couldn't stay in front of anybody. That's going to be the biggest thing that UConn's going to have to do better than this Arizona team, is sit down and stay in front of those guards and stop allowing all that penetration.
But, Coach, there's no way Coach Early doesn't make you defend. Let's start there. We're already moving on since you said that. But
yeah.
I don't think that there's a difference of playing Arizona than you play UConn, because the wealth of the way they move the basketball and share it, you're not honing in on one or two things. So, but defending, that's the one thing I wouldn't worry about if you're a UConn fan. They will defend.
For sure.
They will defend.
But, Kenny, defense and rebounding win championships.
Yes.
That's what wins championships. And even though Michigan did so many amazing things offensively, they guarded.
Yeah.
I mean, they sat down and guarded. They turned Arizona over. Arizona had like 1 assist and 9 turnovers in the first half, and it never got any better.
Yeah. Hey, Clark, go ahead. You say.
The defensive, we talked about this at the top. The defensive versatility of Michigan is superb.
Yeah.
Because they can play a lot of different ways with a lot of different people, even without Yaxel, who was not, and he's their Swiss Army knife defensively. But they got other guys, Roddy Gale. They've got Cadeau, who was putting ball pressure. They've got Mara, who protects the rim. Morez Johnson can move his feet and guard the perimeter. I mean, they've got great defensive versatility and tenacity and size and they can shut you down, and that's what they did.
And hitting their stride at just the right time. We talked about it at halftime. Alabama shot 36%, Tennessee 32%. Arizona, high-powered Arizona, who gets so much inside. They shoot 37% on the night.
Ernie, you asked me first question, did you see this coming? No, number one. I'd be lying if I said I saw it coming. But this is the same Michigan team we've seen every game. You're going to have to raise your level. They have played the same way in every game. Like I say, no, I didn't think they were going to blow Arizona out. But that's the way they played in every game in this tournament. So now you have to understand, if you're UConn or whoever, you're going to have to up your game, because they have been driving the same speed limit, maybe a little over speeding, not excessive speeding, but they have been flatlined the same thing. And Coach Hurley's a terrific coach, and I think he can win one game. But they're going to have to raise their level, because when Arizona was asked today to raise their level, they couldn't do it. And these boys we're going to play at our pace, our level defensively. Whether we're making shots or not, we're going to play defense like madmen. And if you're going to beat them, you're going to have to raise your level. That was an impressive win.
Hey, Kenny, did you just hear him say we?
No.
Yeah. I thought he was saying we about Arizona the whole time. Now all of a sudden, I heard we.
Hey, I told you, and Clark gave me some flowers. He says, you've been on Arizona the whole time, but I said, yeah, I don't think they can beat them. I didn't think it was going to be a beatdown.
Yeah. You got worried when you saw how they were playing.
I said, no, man, that's the best team. I told you, I've only seen two teams that were unbeatable since we've been doing this for double-digit years.
Yeah.
This team, like I said, I don't know what's going to happen Monday, but if UConn, you're going to have to raise your level to another level.
Well, the one thing, again, when we're going to talk a lot about it, but one thing that UConn does is they have you running around that perimeter. And you got Mullins and you got Caravan that really, if you leave them open, they shoot. So you chase extremely hard on them to get them to run them off the line. And then they pull back and they drop it into Terrace Reed. And then he has one-on-one. And as good as Mar is, Terrace Reed doesn't get bothered by length. Physicality can slow him down, but length has not slowed him down at all in this tournament. And so I don't see a difference, and I see a very close game, and this is a game that's going to be down to the
One
wire.
thing I would push back on is that Michigan is so much better on the perimeter defensively. Even though UConn does a lot of movement, runs a lot of good stuff, I think the game plan adjustment Michigan will make, because of the versatility and athleticism on the perimeter,
they're going to switch those.
They won't be bothered as much by that movement.
Coach,
that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying I don't think they'll be as bothered.
Coach, what do you do in the Lindeborg situation now?
Well, right now, I mean, everything they were doing in the second half is just get him rehabbed right off the bat. Keep it moving, get ice on that thing. He's going to be take some medicine, so on and so forth. But he steps on the foot right there, hurts his ankle and hurts his knee. But you talk about a tough customer. He said, look, I'm playing in this game Monday night. I don't care if I can't walk. I'm coming out and I'm going to play. And so he's going to be iced. He's going to be elevated. He's going to go to bed tonight with all the equipment on him and everything raised up, trying to take that swelling down. He's going to be sore tomorrow, Kenny. He's going to be way sore tomorrow, right, than he is right now.
100%, and that is a big thing, because you say they switch Army Nice, they switch, but he's the guy who
he gives him a huge advantage when you got him on the floor defensively, no doubt.
Defensively, he could be like Scottie Pippen-ish, when he does that. But then the other thing is, if he's playing at times, Mullins or a guard would have to guard him.
Yeah.
And so that
works both ways.
So he has to be healthy to have this type of effort, I think, if you're Michigan.
Time now for the Relentless Pursuit presented by Lilly, and we focus on what Michigan did in the assist column tonight, Coach. They had 22 on their 33 makes.
Protect the paint, golly.
Ball's in the middle of the floor in Cadeau's hands, and he's just dropping dimes to everybody, moving without the basketball. I love how Maurer sets a screen and runs to the rim, put pressure on the rim, and the floor is – It's just 5 out. It's spread, drive downhill, drive, draw, dish. Michigan is shooting the basketball better than they've shot all year long here in this NCAA tournament. They run really good stuff, and they're elite in transition. They're firing on all cylinders, both ends of the floor.
Largest 1-versus-1 margins in history, and you see Michigan by 18 tonight over Arizona. And the Wildcats, who won their first 3 games of this tournament wire to wire, never led tonight, down by as many as 30, their first double-digit deficit, not just of the tournament, but of the season. All right, welcome back, sports fans. Brad Underwood, first time in the Final Four. Not the first time for this guy, Danny Hurley in UConn. And Braylon Mullins, the guy who hit the big shot against Duke, right out of the gate.
That was a huge deal for UConn tonight. The three-point shot. Terrace Reed Jr. was excellent again, 17 points. He's been dominant in the paint, but it was the shot making. The defense was solid for both teams, really, when you look at shooting percentages. Ivasic knocking down a 3, back and forth early in the first half, midway through that first half, but then a little surge late. Alex Caravan knocking down the 3, but
his first bucket of the game.
Yeah,
right there.
UConn made 12 threes tonight.
37-29 was your halftime score. Yeah, so Silas Demery, solo ball.
Yep, Braylon Mullins. They got contract. I said it earlier, 45 of the 71 points came from folks other than Reed Jr. and Alex Caravan, and that was huge.
Jalen Stewart connected there. They were up 14, but here comes a 10-0 run for the Illini. Stojakovic, and then solo ball. Just as Illinois is making their run. But the Illini, you know they're not going to just fold up the tents. Look at this.
Tough shot by Keaton Wagler. This was huge right here. They get a bucket off this offensive rebound when Illinois had cut it to 4. Not only do they get a bucket, they actually had a chance to milk some clock as well. And then they're going to knock one down. I think it's Braylon Mullins going to shake free.
His only bucket of the second half right there, and it was huge. And as they say, Chuck, they just tased Ryan. This ball game is over. 71-62. That's your final score as UConn advances to the championship game yet again. Here's Danny Hurley.
You know, we're a tough program. We're a group of fighters. You know, it's not appealing to everyone. I'm sure there's some people in here, you know, that it's off-putting for, you know, but we are a group of fighters. We're incredibly tough. We've got incredible will. And we go into these games, we're ready for battle. Again, for us, it's not, you know, a game that we're just kind of running around in uniforms, throwing the ball around, hoping it goes in. That's not what we're doing out there. You know, we're fighting. It's a life and death struggle for us to get to Monday night, for the opportunity to win a championship, and then just to be able to prolong this season with each other.
You heard Ian Eagle say it when that game, they just win.
Yeah.
They just win.
Well, they're terrifically coached. They got good players. They don't make many mental mistakes. Mm-hmm. You know, Bill Belichick always says, getting to know him and some of his players, he says, you know, Chuck, more games are lost than won. More games are lost than won, Ernie. And most people, you know, if you go back, go back to last week against Duke. Everybody's going to talk about that one turnover. They blew a 19-point lead. That was unfortunate he turned that ball over. But those other 19 points really, that was the difference.
And to your point, 16 points Duke gave up off turnovers in the second half.
Yes.
16 points off turnovers in the second half.
Yes.
So that was part of the equation for that dramatic shot to send UConn to Indianapolis.
But Izzo and Hurley, to me, probably the two coaches, they teams play like their coach's personality. They play like maximum effort, energy. I think Hurley's great at that. I think Izzo is great at that. That's no disrespect to any other coaches. But they take on the personality of their coach. and Hurley's a hell of a coach, and he gets to be a little melodramatic. Nobody dislike him or his team. We don't give a damn who wins these games. But I understand he uses it as fuel.
Yeah.
And
they're going to show up to try to win a championship.
They're going to show up
on that.
Yes, they
championship culture, championship history, championship mindset, championship grit. Yeah. That'll all be on display on Monday night.
And I do think that in college basketball, if you have a correct system and you're able to recruit and go into the portal and get identical pieces, it's very similar to football. Where the NBA at times, there's guys who are just so good that there's no game plan for them. There's no game plan for Wembanyama. You can't even mimic that in practice. You don't have a 7-foot guy, 5 guy who can shoot threes on your team and dribble the basketball like him. So you can't even mimic it. But
the Joker did today. But he 40 on him.
Okay, but it's it's early. It's playoffs. We'll see him in the playoffs.
He'll see them too.
Exactly. But my point is, their system is so intact between himself and his staff. They've done a great job. I know he has one coach leaving, going to Boston College. He's got his associate head coach, Kamada Young, that's been with him since he's been there as well. But those guys have gotten it done.
Oh, yeah. There's no denying any of that.
No
denying any of that.
This is a UConn team that holds Illinois to 62. They've won 75 straight games when they hold teams to 66 or fewer points. Now you face a team that scores 90 plus, and they've done it 5 times. It's a record in the tournament. How do you slow Michigan down if you are UConn?
UConn will slow Michigan down, but they're not holding them to 66. That's not going to happen. It starts at the guards. We don't talk about Silas Demery near enough. He was one of the best guards in the portal, and UConn got him. He is going to guard Cadeau different than Cadeau was guarded tonight, and that's going to be where the defense starts. Solo ball as well, Malachi Smith. UConn's got 3 guards to get out there and guard and bother Michigan from driving downhill. They got to rebound the basketball. They pride themselves. They put bodies on Illinois. They didn't get out rebounded by the all tonight.
They did a nice job on the boards tonight. Yep.
The other thing that UConn's got to do is they got to control the game with their offense. Kenny talked about all that movement. They got to control the game, not turn the ball over, and they have to make perimeter shots. Because the closer you get to the basket against Michigan, the better you do not look. But you don't look better. But if they can bang some open shots, Mullen's got to shoot it like he did. Ball shooting it better. Those guys came into the tournament, into this game, not shoot it well. They shot it lights out here in Indianapolis.
Caravan 1 for 8 in this game, and still UConn over Illinois.
And 6 different guys made threes for UConn.
We talked about that at the top of the show, that they needed other guys to support, and they found a way. They'll have to do it again, and maybe even at a higher level on Monday night.
Some guardrails on this thing a little bit. But nothing can screw up March Madness. No. This is one of the coolest events I've ever been a part of.
Some games.
Oh, I thought you was going to ask.
Some games live up to the hype, and sometimes this happens.
Exactly, no question about it. Michigan was on all cylinders from the start. Yaxel Lindeborg only played 15 minutes. He got injured, but knocked down a 3. Offensive rebound by Morez Johnson. It was all Wolverines from the start, wire to wire.
Lundeborg comes back in, knocks down that 3. There's Mara, who just had his way all night long.
A career high for Adai Mara. He had 26, 9 boards. Also had a couple of blocks, and Michigan had that lead up to 30 at one point and coasted home plus 18, and they get an opportunity to play for a championship Monday night.
They certainly do here in Indianapolis, and they win it 91-73. Would love to hear what Tommy Lloyd had to say about that.
Coach, first off, congratulations on an incredible season. Just couldn't get anything going tonight out there. What did you attribute that to?
Well, Michigan they were amazing. I mean, they've done it to a number of teams this year. They kind of get out to these leads, and then they're kind of surgical. And, you could see how they've beaten people by 40, because it felt like it could have went that way for a little bit. But our guys hung in there, and they represented ourselves well, and we had an incredible season. And, I'm proud of the season we had. And I'm going to give a ton of credit to Michigan today.
This is your first time in this situation as a head coach. What did you say to your team in there?
That I love them. We had an incredible year. I mean, obviously Arizona hasn't been to a Final Four in 25 years, so to kind of break through that barrier means a lot. And, it makes me hungry for more. I know I got to go back and I got to get better myself. And, we'll take a deep look into this and try to figure out what happened and see if we can learn from it.
Appreciate the time. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Had 2 losses for him with Gonzaga on the staff at Gonzaga, and now as the head coach.
Ernie,
Let me say this. The Built Better moment presented by Body Armor. Now, what do you want to say?
That's how you lose. That's what you say after the game when you lose. You give the other team credit. He says, I tell my guys I love them. He says, I got to get better. We got to get better. But that's how you lose. You don't go crazy or anything like that. I thought that was a great interview. Obviously a tough time.
Sure.
I loved his first answer. Well, what happened? Well, Michigan happened.
Yeah.
You get that was incredible performance by Michigan. They had a great year. The best team won, but man, I just love the way that's how you handle it when you lose.
The Michigan Wolverines will have a chance for their first title since 1989 when they take on UConn, looking for their 3rd title in 4 years. Hit the air Monday at 6:30 Eastern time. What's your gut telling you at this point, Coach Pearl?
My gut's telling me that Danny Hurley is going to come up with a game plan to try to defend Michigan. They're going to do a great job not letting Cadeau getting downhill. They're going to make them beat them from the perimeter. If anybody can pull this off, it's going to be Danny Hurley and UConn. But Michigan is the best team in the country. They've been the best team in the country all year long, and they're playing better at the right time of the year.
Yeah, that's my take too. I mean, again, I go back to this. I've said it multiple times. The defensive versatility that team has. And remember now, they did a lot of this tonight without Yaxel Lindeborg being a factor. And that is scary potentially. He probably plays, assuming he's able to recover and get at least to the point he was at tonight. But that team, because of its size, its versatility, the way it shares the ball, the pace at which it plays at both ends, they don't give you – they're aggressive at both ends of the floor. They don't allow you to get comfortable offensively. Now, UConn runs great offensive stuff, but I still think it's going to be tough against Michigan's defense.
We continue down the line, Jet.
I'm going to go against my bracket board. I had Michigan winning it. I think after watching this today, I think UConn is going to be the national champ again. I think that their versatility on the outside is going to give Michigan more trouble than you think, than most people would think. I think that they're going to shoot the ball with some proficiency, and that will separate them from what happened tonight. They have a 3-ball where Arizona has no 3-ball tonight.
You had Michigan winning the whole thing, and now you're switching.
He had Michigan State, by the way.
I had Michigan State, and now I have UConn winning it all. I didn't have UConn in it.
Okay. That's fair.
Chuckster, last word.
I told you, I think this is the 3rd team I've seen that I said everybody else playing for 2nd place. Anthony Davis Wildcats. That
2012.
That second UConn team
24.
that beat somebody like a drum in the championship.
Beat everybody like a drum.
And I said, this is like the same Michigan team has beaten everybody like a drum. I don't see – they don't have any weaknesses. They can go small. They can go big. I think Dusty May is a hell of a coach. He been to the – y'all talk about experience. He's been to the Final Four a lot lately. He just moved to a different program. I just think he's underrated, and I think Michigan, they're going to get their first national championships in
25 years.
25 years.
So much for the Arizona Invitational.
Yeah, we shouldn't have.
It was a catchy line, but it just didn't turn out that way.
Sometimes you shouldn't invite people to the party.